Welcome back to Pivot Points in American History. Yesterday we went over 3, which was the Louisiana Purchase. Could somebody from the Peanut Gallery, Ezra Wilson, tell me who were the people who explored the Louisiana Purchase? I didn't tell you yesterday. You just should know it or we have to take you to Canada. Boom! Lewis and Clark. Let's review those. Jacob, why was the Louisiana Purchase important to, she's still on me, America? What did it do?
It basically increased the size by half at that time.
Increased the size by half, developing America for the 2/3 of the continental contiguous United States of America, capital A. Right, Kelsey?
Right.
Exactly. Number 4, oh, who was the president too? Anna? I'm going to give you all the time you want. We'll make Isaiah do something different. That's all right. Isaiah. Thomas Jefferson. Good. Number 4 is westward expansion. Westward expansion can be summarized in a phrase. This phrase is stated like this. By the way, if you're curious, Mrs. Downing's kids, this is actually how I talk.
No, it's not.
Peanut Gallery has to be quiet. The phrase is manifest destiny. Manifest destiny. Yesterday, Blake, this is when you failed me. Manifest destiny states.
Oh my God.
Manifest destiny states God wants us to control America from coast to coast. Jacob, you didn't write it down either. Good. Man, it's so hard. Caitlin Castor's here. Ms. Rove, Caitlin Castor's here. Sorry, Caitlin. Where's my... Toby is a bad thrower. Westward expansion, manifest destiny. Yahweh, Jehovah, the dude, says we should control America. It's too hard to keep that up. We should control America from one ocean to the other. All right? We are a chosen, destined people. All right? And we have the right to take all that land. So who do we butt heads with? Caitlin Stoneberger. It's okay. It's the mid-1800s. It's in America. You know, America's really not across the Mississippi River yet. So what groups do we... That's okay. I'll pressure somebody else, not you. Mason. The Native American tribes. Thank you very much. Currently, right now, we're having an issue with manifest destiny in North Dakota. The Indian tribes there, the Lakota Sioux, they're saying, hey, man, we don't want your pipeline. And the government's like, no, manifest destiny. All right, why this is important. What's the impact of this? This leads to our expansion from coast to coast. What motivates us to go west? That's a good question. I kind of gave you guys a hint yesterday about one of the big motivations for America. It's money. And in this sense, it's opportunity. You have stuff like the Oregon Trail. You know, that's huge. If you want to, go play the game, blah, 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 blah. Besides, like, opportunity in the Oregon Trail, what event caused the most people to move west? Tanner.
Gold.
Gold rush. Good, good, good. Gold rush. In Tanner, what was the first huge one? That's okay. Jacob. Yeah, 1849, California. American River, you know, beautiful thing. I've actually been there. It's a great thing. But realize it's more than just California. All right? We have gold rushes in Pikes Peak. We have gold rushes in Deadwood, South Dakota. There's another one called the Comstock Lode, where they found basically the equivalent of about $300 billion worth of gold and silver. On and on and on. There's tons of gold rushes in American history. All right? And that's the main motivation. Also, this other last bit. Land equals wealth. Now, the westward expansion also influences the Civil War. All right? In America, at this time, we have a balance. We have a balance between slave states and free states. But westward expansion leads to a Supreme Court decision. This decision is called the Dred Scott decision. Dred Scott decision happens after California becomes a state. As we have westward expansion, all of these new areas and territories become part of the United States. Have you guys ever heard of the term the Mason-Dixon line? Yeah, Mason-Dixon line is like south of it is the South. North of it, you know, you have Iowa. Ooh. Hey, the Mason-Dixon line is the southern border of Missouri. Okay? But with our expansion west, slavery would expand because that line goes all the way across America. Now, at this time, we have two groups who battle it out on slavery. Do you guys remember learning about them when you were younger? Who are the people who oppose slavery? What were they called? Guess? Go ahead. No, that's just the northern people. Excuse me, I have a fan malfunction. We have abolitionists. Now you're like, oh yeah, I remember hearing. And we have slave owners. Or pro-slaves. Pro-slave. Sounds like somebody on the PJ. All right. Abolitionists hated the Dred Scott decision because the Dred Scott decision said this. Dred Scott decision said slavery, a slave, is property. What happened in the Dred Scott decision? Dred Scott's owner moved to what basically became the Wisconsin Territory. All right? There in the Wisconsin Territory, Wisconsin became a state. They were like, hey, we don't want slavery. Dred Scott owner dies. Dred Scott says, am I free then? Because he's living in a free state and his owner dies. So abolitionists take his case to court and they sue for his freedom. But he loses. The person, the Dred Scott's owner's relative said, he's our property. So he actually is ours. The Supreme Court made a decision saying that since a slave is property, they can't sue anybody in court. And he lost. This event, this is why this event's important. This is good. This event enraged the abolitionists to the point of the start of the fight. Just a couple years after this, you have this guy by the name of John Brown. He is an abolitionist. He gets a bunch of cutlasses and goes into this Kansas, Nebraska used to be a territory, goes across the border into Kansas, into Kansas, and he actually butchers a slave-owning family in his bed. Why? God told him to. All right? Then after that, it just keeps increasing the tensions, boom, 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 right after the other. Another one that could go along with this is called the Fugitive Slave Laws. This law said that no matter who you are, you had to help catch a slave. So if you lived in Iowa and somebody who's a slave hunter, a bounty hunter, comes up there and says, hey, that guy over there is a slave, you have to help me. You have to do it legally. That did not make the people who are abolitionists happy, right? All right. Now, so this is 1850s. We're going to skip ahead. As we do these pivot points, some of them we'll cover more in depth. These are some of the ones, Caleb, that we're not going to necessarily cover in our thematic units. So we want to make sure you get them though too. The next one is the gas engine. I have a question for you I want you guys to write down in your notes. The question is this: how has the gas engine impacted America and the world? And pause.